why you had to hide away for so long. Where did we go wrong? Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why you had to hide away for so long. Where did we go wrong?
I think generally the Mele, which if you're just coming into this and you don't know what these things are a partnership with Tripowin and Bad Guy Good Audio Reviews, a fellow audio reviewer on YouTube. You can check out my description for a link to his channel. He tuned these to sound the way that he wanted his sound to come off. And I just got to say off the bat, listening to that first track in the review here, the Mele sounded fantastic, especially for only $50. Are you kidding me? I think these matched or beat the very similarly sounding warm set, the Oxygen, which is $270 compared to this $50. I mean, save your money, get the Mele. Honestly, I don't think the Oxygen was really worth it for the price compared to the Mele. The Aria, which was $80, goes for a different tuning. It's more of a neutral sound, a little brighter in some spots. I'm still preferring the Aria myself, but I can see how somebody might prefer the Mele for its kind of rich, fuller sound on the low end. They're really similarly priced, so pick your poison. Next, $300 price point was the Mangard T. The Mangard, whatever you say. That one suddenly popped out to me as soon as it played. Like, oh my goodness, I like this more. And that's just my personal take, because I personally like brighter sets, and the Mangard is definitely brighter in certain key areas with the instruments and vocals. I preferred the Mangard on that one. I don't know. What do you guys think? Fuller sound or brighter sound that sounds more clear? I'm more of the brighter persuasion myself. And then we had the Prism and the MEST. The Prism for $600 does stand out very nicely, I thought. I thought it came off in that brighter kind of milieu, that airy, clear signature that I'm biased for. So I still prefer the Prism probably above the rest, although the Mangard T is pretty strong, wasn't it? And then the MEST. Okay, the MEST is best. As soon as I couldn't help myself. I had to slip a little clip of the MEST at the end because I know it's just a whole nother league at $1,300, but come on. Once you listen to that, you're just done. Like that's it. That's what I'm listening to forever now. Why am I getting anything else? Why does that exist? Why does that exist? And yeah, what did you guys think? The MEST just kind of blew everything out of the water, even though it was only on for 5 seconds, yeah? Well, let's not spend too much time on the MEST because it is so much more expensive than the stuff we're looking at. So let's listen to the next track and see what we think. on the Oxygen versus the Oxygen here versus the Mele, I think I preferred the Mele. The Mele was a bit more thumpy. It was a bit thicker on the low end in a nice way. It hit harder on the low end, and it still maintained a clarity up top with the higher pitch instruments and voices. I really enjoyed the Mele more, actually. The Oxygen was a little too tame, where the Mele was a little more exciting. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's go to the next bit to compare some others. All right, now against the Prism, it's a little more interesting. The Mele still has a harder hitting thumpiness, if I might use scientific jargon, compared to the Prism here. Wow, it does. I just can't get over, like, honestly, I'm a sucker for the metal and just cool new designs that Tonjim is trying to come up with. It's just a change of, it's a lovely change of pace, isn't it? I don't know. I think it looks beautiful. And the case is really pretty too. A little too kind of like Coach, or, you know, a little too fashion forward and not practical because it's so big. Look at this giant thing. You need to like jam this. Does it go in a pocket? Yeah. No, this is not very pocketable, but it sounds great. So compared to the Mele, the Tonjim Prism is a little more clear. It sounds more resolute to me, but the Mele does sound very fun and thumpy. So it's hard to kind of say one is better than the other. I think this is, again, kind of a taste matter. You might prefer and miss the fullness of the Mele enough that you might not want to go even to this one, which sounds more clear and resolute. Although personally, I would. Personally, I like that level of airiness and separation and clarity that comes off when you lower the low end and you raise the high end, when you up the treble, up the upper mids. I like what that does. And but everybody's different. This is $600. Maybe that's enough of a reason just to try the $50 one. If they still sound pretty fun and worth it, then just do that and you won't feel bad about it. But maybe you listen to the Prism and you're like, dang, I like that. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's keep going.
feast held up in lights. See your hand in every little thing. See your mind in every little thing. Your face in light. Your face in light. Not every little thing will go your way. Stop holding it down. Stop thinking it over. Decide and you live your life away. Your body the seeker, emotional leisure. Provided you live your life away. It's all been in my head. So why don't you live your life today? Stop our reaction. Will you react to me? Overreaction. If I could, I would not react to you. If I could, I would have no reaction. If I could, I would not react to you. If I could, I would have no reaction.
All right, wow. What do we think about the Mele now after comparing it more directly with the Monger T and the Taunch Gym Prism? Personally, I preferred in this particular track, on this playback, I kind of enjoyed the Mele the most, maybe. Even though honestly, I think in real life, I still prefer the T over the Mele for that track and that type of like rock. And I might still prefer the Prism the most between those because it does, in real life, you really get that resolution and detail. It comes through in a very pleasing way. But it's an interestingly close game, not in terms of raw technicals. And I've said this before. I don't rank things based on technicals. I use the technicals, the separation, the resolution, however you people call different things, detail retrieval, whatever. But I use technicals more just to help try to articulate or explain where I'm getting my enjoyment from. If I'm getting the enjoyment from the separation, if that's creating some sense of space that I'm digging, that I'm enjoying, then I'll mention that. But if in this case, there is a greater deal of separation or perceived separation and clarity and all that airiness, whatever, blah, 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 on the Monger T, it may not be that I actually enjoy it enough to say I enjoy it more overall than the Mele. Because the Mele, what does it bring to the joy table? The Mele has a fullness. It has a thump on the low end. And that's just enjoyable. What's difficult about achieving that for most manufacturers is that they usually muffle out the rest of the tuning response to get that full sounding signature. But the Mele does it without sounding like there's a veil over things. And maybe I'm the first one to draw this comparison, but I would actually say that these sound similar in intention as the 650s, the HD 650s from Sennheiser. They're kind of dark, but what the 650s fail to do that these actually succeed in for only $50 is that they allow the instruments and the vocals elsewhere above the low end to shine through. Very smart tuning here. What do you guys think? Which one do you prefer the most, the Mele, the T, or the Prism in that playback? I'm kind of leaning towards, for pure enjoyment, the Mele, but in real life, I gotta say, I think I still prefer the Prism or the Monger T personally, because I'm just biased for bright stuff. I just like brighter signatures generally. They just tickle me so well. When you hear the voices and the instruments so clearly, it's a beautiful thing, at least in my opinion. All right, let's go to the next track.
Lonely I live in the city of angels. Lonely as I am, together we cry. I drive on the streets 'cause she's my companion. I walk through the hills 'cause she knows who I am. She sees my good deeds and she kisses me windy. And I never worry, now that is a lie. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love. Take me all the way. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love. Take me all the way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard to believe that there's nobody out there. It's hard to believe that I'm all alone. At least I have her love to see that she loves me. Lonely as I am, together we cry. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love. Take me all the way. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love. Take me all the way. Yeah, yeah. Oh, no, 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 yeah, yeah. Love me, I say, yeah, yeah. One time. Is where I drew some blood. I could not get enough. Forgot about my love. I gave my life away. Yeah, where I stay.
Very interesting. As we go from the Aria to the Mele and back and forth, at first I was like, wow, they sound basically the same. These Arias for $80 sounded the same in certain segments or very similar as the Mele. But the more you listen to it, the more the Mele comes off as, especially when the drums hit and you got that lower kind of bass response and low mids, the Mele started to stand out more and more, giving this, I don't know how else to say it, but this appropriate sound. And when it sounded appropriate to real life to me, it sounded like more akin to a live performance that I was hearing and not a sterilized recording. And when I went to the Aria or especially the Prism, it got a little more, I should say, sterile in a way. It was missing some of that low end that gives authenticity and fullness to a live performance. So for me, the Prism, even though it has more resolution, and I could say, oh, the technical grade is higher on these, at the end of the day, how does it fit the track? How does it fit the music, man? How does it fit the feeling you're going for? And for me, I kind of got a better feeling, a better connection to the music with the Mele. Might I still prefer the Prism for a lot of music? Yeah, because sometimes I really want that separation, that clarity, and those technicals that it excels at. But I was pleasantly surprised at how authentic and appropriate that full sounding signature from the Mele really felt for that particular track. And if I had to choose between the Mele and the Aria there, I'd probably pick the Mele for everything, all those reasons mentioned. But it's almost like you can't go wrong. All of these things are great earphones. But it's your budget and your taste that matters most. So where does your taste lead you so far? Let's try another track.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. The needle tells a hole, the old familiar sting. Try to kill it all away, but I remember everything. What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end, and you could have it all. My empire of dirt, I will let you down. I will make you hurt. I wear this crown of thorns upon my liar's chair, full of broken thoughts I cannot repair. Beneath the stains of time, the feelings disappear. You are someone else. I am still right here. What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end, and you could have it all. My
Oh, beautiful. I can't help myself. I like to play the whole track because I know I like to listen to the whole thing or as much as I can to get a strong impression. And I was impressed by certain gear. In that track, the Hurt cover here, I actually preferred the Mele less than in previous tracks. I don't know about you, but when the Mongered T, where is that T? Where's my T? There it is. When the Mongered T came up, I was suddenly like, okay, this is the way I want to listen to this track, personally. I want to hear the vocals the way that it's coming through here. So for me, this is a situation that shows where not every gear is going to play everything, preferably over your other stuff. This is why people have collections of gear sometimes. This is for vocals and acoustics. This is for rock and live performances with multiple instruments, maybe. And then the MEST is just going to do everything for you and never want you to listen to anything ever again. So you have to forget they exist so you can keep reviewing things. And you're just going to pretend that anything else brings you joy when really this is the only thing that... Okay, so... as you can tell, the MEST was my favorite. I mean, it's just kind of like your mind gets blown when you put on the MEST, honestly. Am I overselling it? I'm sorry. You can't oversell perfection. Really. Gosh, I need to have a full video of that someday, but I need something to compete with it first. I need something to compare that, maybe this one's better than this sometimes. But nope. So now it's just a little kind of teaser at the end of every track in other videos to kind of spoil all of this for you. So I kind of liked the Mele the least. We compared it to the MEST, the T, and the Prism, a little bit of Aria. The Prism for me was enjoyable, but it wasn't so different than the Mele somehow in this case. To me, what stood out really well when it came on immediately was the T. I would heavily recommend the T for anybody who likes music like that, acoustics with female singers. It does very well. But if you really want to splurge, this is $300. If you really want to splurge, get the MEST for $1,300 and just be in heaven every single time. Just be very pleased with yourself every time you hear female vocals. All right, let's keep listening to some other tracks. Please comment, what you thought about that particular comparison. I'm not really sure if the Aria stood out. I forgot to mention that one. The Aria for $80. I would rather go with the Mele probably here. They aren't so different, and the Mele has some other perks on some other tracks that I preferred. Or maybe just have both. Maybe this is maybe this at the end of the video. Maybe that's the conclusion. These are complementary in a collection. Best $80 neutral bright Aria, and best low-end budget Mele. Not a bad 2 IEM budget collection to have, if you ask me. All right, let's listen to the next track.
Change and grow toward a better now. Escape is over for the ever now. Survivors will no one, The reason why may not be found. Searching my confusion. Tell me why I can't be found. Held to by illusion. Stay here, hoping you were never found. Changing, we all the same way inside? Yeah. Are we all the same way inside? You'll go my
Whew. Okay. I have organized in order my favorites overall for my enjoyment. I need to go back to my ranking list and make sure everything lines up because my impressions are always changing. And if you looked at my rank a week or two ago, it might be different than today. It might be different than next week and a month from now and a year from now. Because, you know, as you explore these different things, you get different feelings. Feelings change. And, you know, the Oxygen, when I first got it, was like, wow, these are great. These are my new best at their price. And then I got the T, and I was like, no, these are the best. And now listening to the Oxygen and the Aria back and forth and the Oxygen with these other things, it has now been demoted to, I think, my least favorite. It just sounds like things are a little bit more recessed in places that take away from my enjoyment. Are the technicals better sometimes? Maybe, but whatever. It's not making me enjoy myself as much anymore. It is what it is. The Mele on that track was actually not as preferable to me, although it sounded this track showed how well the Mele do with these live rock kind of sounds. Rock bands just seem to come alive and fill the room, the headspace with the Mele very enjoyably. And I could easily imagine somebody on that track preferring the Mele over the Prism, over the T, and over the Aria. But I have a bias. I lean with my tastes towards clarity generally, and I get joy from that, just my opinion. And for me, the Aria actually does still edge out the Mele for my personal tastes. But when I was listening to that, I was like, I totally see if somebody prefers the Mele over the Aria. All the power to you. The Mongered T sounded just even better than the Aria in terms of clarity, in terms of just resolution just came out instantly. As soon as the T comes on, you're like, oh, there's clarity. And I liked that more. I like that sensation of clarity and airiness and stuff that you get from that tuning more than I get enjoyment from the Mele, as enjoyable as they are. They really are. And the Prism, to me, especially in real life, sounds even clearer, even better than the Mongered T, which with a little bit of warmth in some places that is appreciated at times. In the playback, in your video, you might think differently. Maybe you prefer the T over the Prism. It can kind of go hand in hand with these recordings, but this is my current lineup. And then, of course, the MEST it shouldn't even be over here. It should be like way off the table somewhere else on the other side of the building. The MEST is so fantastic. But it doesn't have that fullness that you get from the Mele. It's almost like my preferences as you go towards this end become brighter and brighter and brighter. But maybe for you, it's the opposite. Maybe for you, the Mele was the fullest and most enjoyable. And to you, the Aria was very close, but a little more bright, and maybe you still wanted that fullness. And the Prism was even, maybe this is the opposite for you. Although the MEST was so pristine sounding, it's hard for me to imagine it's not on the top somewhere for everybody. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, leaving a comment on what you think. And if you really want to support me, I do have a Patreon, and all Patreon support does go towards buying new gear for the channel. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you another time. Bye.